Well, Tampa Bay, I'm Andrew Duncan with the Duncan Duo at REMAX, host of the Duncan Duo show every Sunday at 10 on 970 WFLA, and the official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Today I'm here to talk to you about appraisal challenges when buying or selling a home. One of the concerns of an improving real estate market, when I mean improving, I mean increase in number of home sales as well as an increase in average prices and appreciation. One of the challenges that you run into in that type of environment is prices rise and the supply and demand curve supports those rising prices. Appraisals oftentimes come in short or lower than purchase price. The challenge with that is that when that happens, the buyer has the option to either, and again, every contract's different, so this isn't necessarily the case in every contract, but in the standard contracts, the buyer has the right to cancel the contract based on the low appraisal. Or a renegotiation can ensue where the seller comes up with the difference or the buyer really wants the home and comes up with the difference. But I want to make you aware that it is a protection for buyers. If you're making an offer on a home and it doesn't appraise, you're not obligated to move forward. It's a protection to keep you from overpaying for a home. But more than anything from the bank's perspective, it's a protection for them so that they don't overloan on a home that ends up becoming a bad loan or a loan in default later on. One important thing to note about that process is that there are certain loan products like the FHA loan where the appraisal attaches to the property, meaning that for a period of time, the appraisal stays with the property. So let's say, for example, an appraisal comes in short from a buyer on a specific property, let's call it 123 Main Street, and that buyer decides to cancel, and the seller puts their home back on the market. Well, that appraisal stays on file, and any buyer for that period of time that comes in with an FHA mortgage would then be relegated to that same appraisal number. So it's something to consider when you're looking to cancel a contract is the viability. If your product or home you're selling is very likely to be bought by an FHA buyer, you might have to wait until after that appraisal expires or look for someone to buy it with a different loan product. Another important thing to note is that appraisers still are people with an opinion. They're heavily trained, lots of credentials, they're professionals, and as the industry has changed, that has changed some as well. Where there was a pressure to bring appraisal prices down, and that caused some of the best appraisers to go do other things. But that being said, they use guidelines, but two appraisers can view the value of a property or some of the benefits of owning that property, like upgrades and things like that, in a completely different perspective. So it is still just one person's opinion. If the appraisal comes in low on a purchase price, the buyer obviously has the right to cancel. There's a renegotiation that can ensue, or potentially the buyer could change lenders, and a new lender with a new appraiser could see the value completely differently. Now, in those circumstances, you're generally looking at delaying closing, but that is something where that can be done to keep a deal under contract, potentially to close, to help all parties at the original purchase price, should the parties agree to do that. But it is an option for you, again, depending on the loan product, to hire a new lender and go to a new appraiser. Years ago, there was a lot of gray area, shady things that would happen when homes would need to be appraised, and cozy relationships between lenders and appraisers. And guidelines, federal guideline changes and regulations have changed a lot of that, where the lender really doesn't have a lot of communication with the appraiser. It's not a one-on-one relationship. The lender can't decide which appraiser to go. There's a panel of appraisers. So local lenders generally have a better, in my opinion, a better pulse on the market, and I think better appraisers. Because they have a more close eye on the local market and on the appraisers that are good. And by good, it means doing a thorough job, not under or over appraising to get a loan through. It means by giving a real solid value that can be backed up by data. So again, those are a few steps. Those are things to deal with if your appraisal comes in low, whether you're a seller or a buyer. Hopefully you appreciate those options, and hopefully when you sell your home, that doesn't happen, and when you buy a home, it certainly doesn't happen. But if it does, hopefully the advice today gives you a few things to help you get through that challenging time. Thanks so much, and make sure to check us out every Sunday at 10 on 970 WFLA.